Hey everybody, Mike here. So real quick review today on this heat mat made by VIVOSUN. I've owned this particular mat for a couple of years now. There's a couple applications I found that these mats are good for. My purposes and the reason I picked this mat up are I have a vermicompost bin that I run year round for my worms, and during these colder months like we're in right now, I throw this on top of that bin just to kind of keep that soil temp up at the temperature at the top of the surface, and that really helps keep the worms active throughout these colder months. The most popular use for these mats though is for starting seeds in the early spring before you can get them out into the soil outdoors. Pretty simple little process. Your heat mat here has a dedicated cord which will plug in to your thermostat that comes with it as well. So you plug that into the bottom, and then your thermostat has its own separate plug, and then it's also got this thermostat probe. So you can simply just slip your probe down in your soil or whatever it is you're trying to heat. That'll get a good accurate temperature for you, and then your thermostat will kick this plug off and on to keep that temperature maintained to what you're trying to heat up. As you can see here, if I put my hand on this thermostat like this, you'll see that temperature start to climb. And if I held on to that long enough, it would shut itself off. Now, if I hold this cog wheel up here at the top, if I quick press it once, it tells me the temperature that that thing is set at. If I long press until it starts flashing, now I can change that temperature to what I want it to be, and you can adjust that 1 degree at a time. And then you just hold that little cog wheel again until it stops flashing and goes back to normal. And then this little light here lets you know whether the heat mat's got power supplied to it. So this lets me know that the heat mat is on and working at the moment. So you can just kind of mount that somewhere close by, and that way you can kind of keep a track of that and monitor that as you're germinating your seeds or heating up your worm bin, whatever the case might be. I've also heard people use these in terrariums if they've got like geckos or little small lizards or whatnot. I don't have any experience with that, but I could definitely see how that would be a nice supplemental way to heat their tank up as well. And I think I mentioned already, these come in different sizes as well. So this is the 20 by 20 square mat, but you can get these in rectangular mats as well, or you can get them as actually longer mats, depending on your application and what you need them for. But over the last couple of years, I've been extremely impressed with this mat. It's done exactly as it's designed for me. Something else you might keep in mind too is these mats aren't meant to get up real hot temperature. It's basically just to get your temperatures about 10 to 20 degrees above your ambient temperature. So in the garage right now where it's 50, 55 degrees where I'm sitting, this mat's not going to achieve much more than that 75 to 80 degree mark. Whereas if you're like 50 to 60 degrees, that 90 to 100 degree temperature is pretty achievable. So keep that in mind too. If you're putting this in a 20 degree garage and you're wondering why it's not getting up to 70 degrees, that might be your problem. But that's all I've got for you today, guys. Hopefully this review was somewhat useful for you today. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll catch you on the next one.